Hello, friends. Welcome to another Say It Loud podcast. This is Matt, your host. We had Carson McHone on for this episode, and she is incredible. She's an Austin native, which I think we call unicorns here. She's a country singer or alt-country, Americana, however you want to describe it. But she's doing it right. She is really an incredible songwriter, very thoughtful. It's worth going to her website. It's carsonmchonemusic.com and just reading her lyrics. She's got a lot to say. She's very, viciously honest about what she wants to say, the story she wants to tell, and she's very comfortable sharing her own perspective. She was just at ACL Festival this year, which is a big deal. She won a grant from Black Fret, which she's using to record a new album in Nashville. She's going in the right direction. Enjoy. It's a special one. Brett's also here, but he doesn't want to say anything. And that was Brett Doesn't Say Anything. Enjoy the podcast.
Mr. Jones. Hello, Mr. Jones. Hello, Mr. Jones.
Check,
Check,
one,
check,
two.
check.
Cool. That seems like it'll work. Let's do a podcast.
All right.
You're all over, the media now, right?
Oh.
Are you used to these kinds of things now?
Sorta. I mean,
Shoot, I shouldn't have waited. Hold on.
that's
I
okay.
don't know.
Why asking questions
Yeah, I
outside
know.
of the podcast, man?
Come on.
I did, actually, I was an extra in a commercial the other day, and it was supposed to be, at a barbecue, sitting at picnic tables, and so they had all these other extras, and they, my boyfriend and I did it together, and they, pick and choose who looks good together at the table, and, then they're like, oh, no, wait. Okay, you switch with this person, and then, and so then we ended up at I ended up at a table with a bunch of people I didn't know, and
funny.
so we all started chatting and getting to know each other sort of, and then when the time came to actually the camera was on us to look like we were having fun at a barbecue together, we were like, shit, we already talked about everything. Wait to talk until
Yeah.
So, anyways,
That's awesome.
Are you getting into acting? How did that?
No,
Wow.
I just an acquaintance of mine that does location scouting just hit me up and was like, "You want to make $120?" I was like, "Yep."
Mm-hmm.
So no, but I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm getting into acting or anything.
That's a good gig
but
to get
but I
there,
mean,
yeah.
shit, I'll do more extra work if I
Yeah,
can
right.
find it. I don't know how you do it or how you get into it or anything, but
I found some extra, there's a film extra database or something like that.
Oh,
It's
really?
like Texas Films or something.
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
go find all that stuff. I think I did some of that extra stuff too one time. It was
Yeah.
real easy, just sit there and look like you're eating fake salad.
yeah,
It's like real
it was
salad, it's
really it was really boring.
Yeah.
But it was incredibly draining too. It was only a couple hours, but we finished up and we're like, "You want to just go home, take a nap?" We were at a bar, but we couldn't be drinking on the camera, and also you weren't allowed to have any visible tattoos. And I have tattoos on my arms and stuff, so I had to wear a jacket, and it was really hot outside.
Oh.
So we were just done, and we're like, "Do you want to drink? No, let's just go home." Just oh well.
Yeah, acting's hard, you know?
I know.
You're learning
man.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
It takes it out of you.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're ready to start. This is how we always start. It just morphs into something.
Sure.
But Carson McHone is here, or Carson McHone. How do you
My grandmother would say Mac.
I thought I heard you say that once. In
I
a
do.
YouTube
I
video or
say
something
that,
like
but Macone, however.
Are your fans?
However drunk I am that particular night on stage, I think I start to get more of an accent.
Yeah,
get
yeah.
lazy with my.
I was thinking your fan club should be the McHone heads.
Well,
Right.
my friends used to call me Carson McHone Head, so that works.
Yep.
Totally works.
I
And also,
I started the fan club already.
when I was born, I had a cone head, so there you go.
Really?
Yeah,
Let's
I
dive
was.
into that.
I was.
Let's talk about this.
I was trying to come out. I was waving at the world, and it just wasn't happening. So they had to take me C-section. But so I had when they measured me, I was a lot longer than the next day. My head shrunk back, which happens. Babies' heads are really
Interesting. Yeah.
malleable, and they'll try to escape. I did my best, but it wasn't going to happen that way. So, anyways, I was born with a cone head.
Boom.
On that note, Joe, Brian, and Brett are here, and I'm Matt.
Yep.
Say It Loud, episode 26, actually, right on the dot.
Yeah.
Nice.
So welcome, Carson. I think
Thanks
you're
for having
our second country artist, or however you
Cool.
want to say it, Americana.
Sure.
So it's fun for me, because I know it's not a genre I'm too familiar with, but
Yeah.
I've been studying your work,
Cool.
and it's pretty impressive. I start to see now. Well, before the podcast, I was like, you're probably getting all kinds of media now, because you were just at ACL Fest,
Yeah.
your first one, right?
Yeah, that was really cool.
And Brian saw you.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
there.
awesome.
It was awesome.
Awesome.
It was
So
a great
Brian,
show.
give her honest feedback about her ACL Fest.
It was awesome. It was so cool. Like that was just like we had met before at Fourth Tap
Yeah.
at that event that we kind of put on there, and it was just cool to see. Like, I mean, you played solo at that show,
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
which
It's funny because I do solo shows, but
Yeah.
then and then sometimes I'll do duo shows with my steel player.
yeah,
And
that's cool.
Those tend to be a little bit more delicate, a little
Yeah.
bit more like the songwriter songs I do. They're a little bit darker maybe, and when they're stripped down. But then we do the same songs with the band, pretty much,
Yeah,
and they just kind of have a completely different feel.
yeah, for sure.
But-
I mean, it still had that kind of dark tone,
Sure.
which I appreciate about your lyrics and what you're doing, and it was just cool to see you go from like solo show at Fourth Tap,
Yeah.
where it's just kind of like a chill afternoon thing, to like the only other time I saw you, which is at ACL, which
Yeah.
is like the opposite of that.
Right.
It was really cool though. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks.
Just
yeah, it was
beautiful day.
It was a blast. I mean, I grew up going to ACL, so it was neat to go back and be on stage and get to participate, as an artist for the first time.
That's awesome. Are
But
you
I
from here?
also
You are?
but I also didn't know
Nice.
it was early. It was 12:30 on Friday, the first day of the first weekend.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I don't know if we're gonna have a crowd. And we went on right after.
Did you tell him no?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, sorry. We're gonna.
Let's
we need to be
negotiate.
headlining this.
Yeah.
We're going to need a different time.
But yeah, but we had a good crowd, and it was fun to see, like, from our stage, which the Tito stage was covered this
Right.
year, which was different, or it's different than I've seen it before. But but I could see people like sort of flowing in from the entrance of the park, and we kind of like, as we played, you could see people like look over and then be like, oh, it's this, and wander over and then stand, all kind of crowd in. So it was like one person, 3 people, and we're like, we got him.
Yeah. Nice.
Got those guys. Okay. So it was fun because we didn't have a built-in crowd, obviously. But it was fun to sort of snag people as they were kind
It's
of
either
flowing
you or
in.
those Barton Hill choir kids. And those
Yeah,
kids
right.
Are awful.
Well, and we went on right after. We were sandwiched between the Disciples of Christ and the Band of Heathens, which cracked me up.
That's really
That's-
funny.
That is
that's
funny.
interesting.
I don't know if we're
How do you make that
necessarily
transition?
the middle
Yeah.
ground, but
Yeah.
but that was interesting.
It was
But
a nice
fun.
escape from the oppressive sun too.
Yeah,
I gotta say
yeah,
that.
I know.
Yeah.
that was nice. I was surprised that it was
That's
covered,
awesome.
but it turned out to be a nice little deal.
So it was
Nice.
successful.
Yeah, it was. And then I spent the rest of the day doing like interviews and stuff in the press area, which was fun. And I met some cool photographers, and so I think it was a successful deal. I mean, obviously, when I got the email like you're in ACL, I was like, hell yeah,
That's
and then
awesome.
it was like, you're playing at 12:30 on Friday morning. It's like, oh, okay. But I mean, that's the thing. Like when you get those cool festival spots, it's like so much of it has to do with just the fact that your name is getting pumped out there amongst so many others, and on such a large scale. So I think it was totally successful, and we had a fun set. It's crazy. I mean, even like that's a huge festival, and it's just like you show up and you've got a 15-minute changeover, and then you have to play, and then you get off as fast as you can. You
Yeah, I've
don't
never
have a
really heard
sound
that
check,
side
You don't like.
of stuff. Yeah, so it's that quick, huh?
Yeah, it was pretty wild. And then
Yeah.
like I was having some weird stuff going on with my acoustic, and like at a certain point I just like stopped playing, and just sang, because I was like, I don't know if we're going to fix it, like I can let it ring out and try to have somebody attack it, but so it was just like throw and go. You just seat your pants kind of like, and it's a huge deal, and it's just like, all right, here we go.
You have to.
Yeah, you played
Figure
that
it
off
out.
like a pro.
Yeah.
I definitely heard it. It was like
Yeah.
that mid-range like thing, right? But
Yeah, I've had some weird. I mean, I almost just went back to electric, but it was like, what do you do? But that's the thing.
Roll
it
with
doesn't
it.
matter what
Yeah.
stage you're on. It's like it's a show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it matters, right? Being
Well,
up there.
no, it
Yeah.
does,
Yeah.
right? But then like, it's not like, oh, this is a big deal. Could we stop for a minute and figure
Yeah,
this
yeah.
out, please?
Yeah.
I'm gonna need an extra
Right.
15 minutes, actually.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like roll with it, man.
That's what
Yeah.
Royal Blood did when I watched them. They were like, my pedal's not working, and then they just stopped the show for a while. I was like, well, I could still hear it. Like,
Yeah.
let's,
I'm like,
let's
that's
keep
gonna
the show
take-
going. Come on.
-2 songs, so no, I'm just gonna plow through.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There you go.
Did it happen where anybody recognized you later in the day that was there early?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice. That's
that
pretty
was
cool.
cool. For sure. Yeah, the guys at the Tito's backstage didn't want to let me back in. I was like, oh, I just played, and the guy was like, oh yeah, come on. It's like, great, more free
I was
Tito's.
gonna say, yeah, free
Yeah,
vodka
right.
and food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
That was a good little area back
but
there.
it was cool
was.
to run into people, and I saw like people that I went to high school with that I don't talk to that are, they were like, whoa, cool.
Yeah.
That's
like, yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's gotta feel good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Coned. Where does that rank for you? So I know we talk about this sometimes with different bands, but there's different ideas and tiers of what success means. We were talking about that, and
Sure.
but being from Austin and playing ACL, I mean, even if you're not from ACL, that's a big thing. But that seems to be opening certain doors for you. Does it feel that way?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, getting to do. I haven't ever done like a festival circuit, like a tour. So, I mean, a lot of more successful bands, that's what they do during the summer, is just tour around and play all the festivals, So I'm hoping that can happen soon. I've got another record in the works that will hopefully start to open some of those doors for me. But I definitely think that like getting my name on ACL and, even as much of a shit show as it is, like South by, the fact
Yeah.
that you're like, well, no, we got to do it. Like, this is the third or fourth year in a row, and like it's important that you're still a part of it because your name's still out there. So that stuff, it does matter. I think no matter if nobody saw you on Friday at 12:30,
Yeah.
your name was on it and you played it, and
Like,
that
see here, look,
yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
paper. That's my name.
So
You got,
that's
like, a
it's just a
live,
part of
you
your
know.
resume,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I'm hoping. I mean, that ACL is a big deal, and
Oh,
that's cool, and especially being an Austinite, and seeing some like as a teenager, like my favorite bands that I got turned on to, going to see them at ACL and then getting to play it now is really
Right.
cool. But so yeah, I mean, I guess that's especially for a local, that's a successful. That's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Oh
So-
yeah,
So,
100%. I mean, as like somebody who had done a show with you before, it was exciting for me to see you on the bill. Like I would
Sure,
imagine, like
yeah.
for you to like get that email must have been just like, oh my god.
Yeah, totally. I was
I would've
actually,
flipped my shit.
I remember
Yeah,
I was sitting at Sam's Town Point on the back porch,
I've been there before. That place is interesting.
and I was like, holy shit. I told everybody.
Oh, I'm
And then
sure.
I was like,
yeah,
I can't announce it yet, but anyways,
yeah,
but yeah.
that's amazing.
So,
That is awesome.
But you mentioned, you're making a new album in Nashville, right?
yeah.
So is that an opportunity you think came from like kind of building this resume?
Totally. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I met the guy that produced the record, Mike McCarthy, he had
He's
been
notable,
here
yeah.
for the past 25 some
Right.
odd years. He raised his daughters here. So I met him here in Austin. And so that's how I got to know him. So definitely cultivating stuff here has allowed me to then go work with him in Nashville and work with these musicians there. And, that opportunity wouldn't have come around otherwise. It was just, a mutual friend actually introduced us, and he was like, oh yeah, I think I've heard her name. Okay. Like, let's hang out, And so
Yeah.
then, the rest is, history or whatever. I don't know. It's ongoing. It's like,
Yeah.
so, but yeah, that Mike lived here for years, and I knew who he was, because of, Spoon and Patty Griffin and bands like that. And so, we started working here together, and then he moved to back to Nashville, where he kind of, I think, got his start engineering. And so I went up there to cut the record.
That's cool.
How far are you on it?
I'm getting mixes back right now. I actually,
Ooh.
before I came here, my manager lives across the tracks from me in Buda. And so I went over and stopped at his house on my way here, and we listened to 2 new mixes.
Are you digging it?
Yeah. I'm
Awesome.
really excited. So
Is there a timeline on release?
not yet. I'm eager to get it out, but I want to take my time and get some help putting it out.
Right.
I put out an EP when I was 20, and then this record Good Luck Man that I did here in town, essentially by myself. And so I mean, people have really only heard it through word of mouth or buying the record at my show, or CD. And so I'd like to see if I can get a label behind it. And that will be an interesting process because it's new to me. And then, just if that happens, if I do get somebody interested, then it'll be a process of how do they want to put the record out? Do they want to have this many singles or that many, and how, the timeline for putting those out and sort of teasing the record a little bit. And so it's going to be a little while. But I'm really eager to get it out there. I just got to be patient.
Right.
Yeah. That's the hardest part, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. But I wanted, it's like Austin's my home, and everything I know about putting music out in the world has been doing it here myself. And it's a very wide world. Mm-hmm. And I think in order to have a career that can sustain me, I need to take the rest of the world seriously, the rest of the music world. And so, yeah, I'm willing to wait as long as I need to figure out the best way to put this album out.
Yeah.
And you guys, like the Fair City Fire guys, you're talking now or discussing the idea of releasing music as well. So I'm curious from both perspectives. I know a label has an idea about what you should do, or you want to find the right matchup, but in your own creative kind of artistic venture, what do you think is the best way for you to,
Well,
is that why you get a label, because you need that help?
Right.
To
Well,
know what to
definitely
do?
with distribution, and hopefully there's some money behind it. And then there's like some clout, whoever you go with, they're hopefully a name is known and they're respected. And so they're able to help push the album. But a great advantage I feel like that I have is that last year, I got a grant from Black Fret.
Right.
That's
which
awesome.
is an organization here in town.
Yeah.
And so I got this money that I was able to go and make this album the way that I wanted to do it, with the producer I wanted to work with. And so I feel like I have an advantage in that way to protect my creativity, in that I'm sort of selling a product to a label instead of selling an idea for a product to a label.
Right.
So they don't get to tell me like who to work with or which songs to do or anything like that. It's done, or close to being done. And so I'm going to take them what I have, and hopefully it'll spark some interest with some people. But yeah, I think getting it done on my own terms was probably important, because I don't know, there's a lot of like this sort of rootsy Americana, if that's what you want to call it, or country or whatever. There are other artists that are doing really well in that genre right now. And so I don't, and I this album I made is not necessarily that. I mean, there are definitely some straight up like honky tonk songs, but it's just pushed a little bit into a more modern sort of soundscape. And so I don't know, if I hadn't recorded the record already, maybe somebody would want to push it into more of that sort of throwback country thing, which I'm not into doing anymore, or ever. I don't know. But so I think I'm at an advantage there, as far as like, here's my music. If you want to have anything to do with it, let me know.
We've had those kind of conversations before too, about seeking a label. It's like, the whole thing about just going to them and being like, hey, like, help us create something. I don't know. That just seems like a little unattractive as opposed to like we've got our image figured
Here's
out.
the
We've
artwork.
got,
Here's the music.
yeah.
This is how I want to do it. I'm excited about it.
That
And,
seems like something
yeah.
I could live with versus like, hey guys, what do we do?
I got
Like
this idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
We should definitely touch on Black Fred a second here because that's a pretty big.
I
that's a
didn't
big
realize that
deal.
you got the grant. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Was it like the biggest one?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So that is all gone now, but it allowed
Yeah.
me
Recording
to go,
is expensive. If you
Yeah,
don't know
no
that,
kidding.
everybody,
Yeah.
you should buy her album.
Yeah,
all of
but
them.
that's the cool thing is that like I was able to, I knew who I wanted to work with, and I was able to then tell Mike like, here's the record, here are the songs we want to do, these are the people we want to work with, can we make this work? And it was like, here's the total that I got. This like I didn't have this before. And that was kind of like how I budgeted the album, and it was like it afforded me 2 days in a studio in Nashville with union musicians, like,
Yeah.
and that
It's
was
amazing.
totally new to me, to Nashville, there's a union and you have to pay by time cards. And so you have to fill these things out that it's not like, it's different. But I
Does
think that
everybody
was,
get paid the same hourly or something in the union, or is it
yeah,
like,
sort
okay.
of. But then there's all these other, like extra things that like, it's bizarre. You have
Yeah.
to like look at a time card. I had to sit with one of the musicians and like get him to help me fill all this stuff out, and then you have to mail stuff in, and
Wow.
it's interesting. But yeah, I mean, people get paid to do that stuff, and it's expensive, And then we worked at this studio, Quad, which is a pretty well-known. Well, it's owned by a publishing company now, so it's called something different. But I mean, like parts of Harvest were recorded there, and all these old school badass records. And
Yeah.
Mike had worked back there in the day when he first started engineering, and so he had some friends that still worked there. So we were able to go and afford 2 days. But that was it. It was
Yeah.
like,
Wow. Yeah.
we got to get all this done, and so yeah, it was a roller coaster, really.
So do you have to act as project manager? I mean, are you directing? I mean, because it's your songs.
Yeah.
How much say, or did you put it in the hands of the producer and say, this is what I want to accomplish, and now here, it's your job to get this
Mike
is
and
what
I
want
really
done out of
worked
it,
hand in
or-
hand,
okay.
and I think Mike's, what I've seen of his work, he's somebody that gets people on the map, kind of, like does first records for a handful of people. He did these Sweet Spirit record, and a handful of other folks that like I don't know, I think he's got a great ear for how to introduce a band or a songwriter, a group of songs. And so, it was a process of like, I was intrigued by Mike because I liked the way that he talked about my songs and the way he talked about what I do. And so, and the first thing he had me do was come in and with my acoustic guitar and record every single song I'd ever written. And he was like, I don't care if you've recorded these songs before or whatever. I want to hear like the skeletal versions of these songs. I don't care how you did it with your band before on this album or that album or whatever live. I want to hear you do these songs.
And
So
that's
I went
how you
in.
already have every song that way anyway, right? Because you've already written these songs
Well,
to guitar for the most part, or some just in
yeah,
lyrics.
I mean, the EP I did and the album I did here in town, they're mostly full band stuff. There are a couple songs that are a little bit more stripped down, but they have other instrumentation on them and stuff. So I was like, okay, you don't want me to like have like these are the new songs, And he's like, no, that's what I want to hear. Come in. And so at the time his studio was over off Rhineley, just west of 35 up north there. So I went in and spent a handful of days and just played him everything. And he recorded
How many
it all.
tunes do you have?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't do like the first song I ever wrote, or but I did about 20
Wow.
some odd songs, and there was new stuff and there was old stuff, and for about a year, Mike and I sat and talked about the songs, and And then over that amount of time, he ended up moving to Nashville. And then when we were ready to kind of start talking about, all right, when do we do this? How are we going to do it? What songs are we going to do? I had this whole idea about like, okay, here are the new songs and like blah, blah, blah. And we met at Curra's Grill on Old Fourth.
Yes.
And Mike sat me down.
Avocado margaritas.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So he sat me down and he was like, okay, here is the group of songs that I think you should record. And he, pushed the paper over to me. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
There were a bunch of songs on it that I had already recorded. And I was like, well, I've already recorded these songs. And he was like, sure. Yeah.
Oh.
He was like, yeah.
Interesting.
He was like, yeah, you have. But he was like, the album that you want to make, that is like the new stuff. He was like, that's a sophomore album. And it demands the audience that has been following you for a record at least.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And he was like, you don't have that audience yet. He was like, these songs that you want to make a record with, this sophomore album, he was like, they deserve to be heard. And he was like, but I think you really need to think about how much of an audience you have and if they're going to listen yet,
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And we talked more about the songs that were chosen. And he was like, I think what you need to do is think of this.
What were in your head? Were you like, fuck you, man?
I mean,
There has to be some element of that.
yeah,
right?
at first. Well, and two, like the album that I made, Good Luck Man, when we did it, it was at somebody's house, and it was like we recorded the album, and then it was like, ooh, you know what? We need to go back and record some of this stuff. And so some of those songs I had already we had recorded it with the band, and then I was like, oh man, I think like this stuff didn't get captured sonically as well as it needed to be. And I was like, we need to do it again. And so and I was like, man, I've already done all of this. Like, come on, But then I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, sure. Part of me was like, God damn it, like, no way, man. Yeah. But then we sat and talked, and he was like, I really think you need to approach this as your introduction to the rest of the music world and get people on your side and grow an audience. And if you treat it that way and you record these songs, in a studio and we do this, he's like, then you're ready to go in and do the next record. And you can put it out in 6 months after you put the first one out. Anyways, it was just cool. It was a way of looking at my career with a mature eye. And also what it ended up being really cool about choosing to do this group of songs was that, man, I still do all these songs live anyways. But some of the songs had been written 4 years ago almost, and I'm not singing about that person anymore. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was like they have evolved and changed. The meanings have changed almost,
right.
Cool. And so what was really cool was that I was excited about these tunes again. And we went in and cut them and pushed them in different ways, and they changed key or they changed tempo, and the forms were similar, but the instrumentation was different, and they kind of got pushed out of acoustic guitar songwriter world and pushed into this more modern thing. And I mean, it was so cool. I mean, like I said, we had 2 days in the studio, so it was
wow.
It was a whirlwind, and it was really exciting because I got to I felt like I was playing the songs for the first time. They changed that much to where it was okay, was that it? Did we get the take? Because we had to get it done and move on. We have 2 days, so it was yeah, I think that was it. But can we just do it one more time? Because that was so much fun, And so, anyways, now we're playing these songs that ended up getting re-recorded. Some of them, we're playing them live like that with the band, and it's been really fun to sort of reintroduce them in a different way. And they feel more honest to me now, because I've changed and I'm still singing them, and I'm singing about I use this one example, but there's a tune where I was singing about an ex-boyfriend who.
There's a few of those, right? Isn't there?
But yeah, probably. Who was a barber.
I mean, not ex-boyfriends,
and,
I mean
like,
songs. I'm not-
yeah, totally. But, you know, it was like, I was singing about this person and a lot of, I mean, just specifically in this one lyric that I'm like mad at and I think is a sleazeball. And it's like, I'm singing about Donald Trump now. Holy shit. You know, and it's like, that line is so, it holds something different to me now. Anyways, so basically it was such a good thing for me to push myself in the songs. And I was working with a producer, you know, so it was like really fun to see where we could go with the tunes. And so I'm excited that they've seen their full potential, you know.
That's cool.
I love having that Good Luck Man album because it was like a snapshot of my band of 2 years at the White Horse, like
Well, that's
just,
some-
you know,
yeah.
like cutting my teeth, you know. But I'm really, really glad that these songs hopefully will have more of a chance to get heard.
It's
And
interesting.
now
I
I'm
mean,
ready to make the next one.
as musicians, I mean, you know, you make a song and it has a moment, you know, in time. But then when you revisit it, sometimes you don't want to do that because, again, it's energy, it's money,
Yeah,
it's doing all
totally.
these things. But when you do it, I know you guys do it, Fair City Fire Guys, a lot live. Like, you'll change, you know, timings of things, or you'll add, or you'll take things away. Just, I guess, to bring new life to it. Or
Yeah,
you
it's
figure-
fun for us, you know. It's fun for us, and it's fun for the people that keep coming out to the shows, you know. To
That's
have
been, yeah.
some
That's one of the
curveballs.
things. It's been really cool to have like people come up and be like, "Oh my god, the way you're doing Dram Shop now, it's so cool. Like, it's so
Yeah.
different." And
That's
it's
awesome.
just
You gotta love when people notice those things.
totally.
It's like
totally.
you guys are really listening. That's great.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's just been it was such a good thing for me to do. I feel rejuvenated and
Yeah.
I
That's
just
great.
think it was a really mature way of looking at my career and being like, yeah, like the world's bigger than Austin, Texas, and I need to like
Yeah, we've
give these songs a real shot, you know, and it was just good for my brain to be able to like feel like I was doing these songs again that have evolved and give them the credit kind of that I feel like they're due. And so yeah, that was exciting.
good.
And
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
I'm sure some of these songs have changed, but so my exposure to you is just now the songs that are out there.
Yeah.
And so that's how I'm hearing them.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I listen to these, I was, you know, it's different than what, again, however you said it, country Americana, however you want to
Sure.
say it before. And I actually had to look up the lyrics because I was hearing them and I was like, is this what I think she said? And
Yeah.
I thought it was very cool, and to me anyways, unique to hear songwriting like that. So I was wondering, I want to talk about a few of these songs, but
Sure.
did you come from a poetry background or musical background growing up?
My mom is a writer,
Okay.
so definitely I grew up around a lot of books, and I went to college with a scholarship to do creative writing, which didn't last very long. But
That's as much as you get paid for creative writing ever.
yeah,
Scholarship.
but so yeah, I grew up taking classical violin lessons, Suzuki style violin, and so music has always been a part of my life. But really, nobody else in my family plays except for my uncle, who when I was like early teen, he gave me a mandolin, which was a transition to playing guitar. You know, I learned how to make chords and I could sing along with stuff that I learned how to play, and so then when I was in high school, I started playing guitar and writing songs. But definitely, I have always approached things more from a lyrical side, more like poetry. I mean, that's like when I was a kid, I would always write, you know. So when I got a guitar, that's when stuff started, you know, coming together, the two. But definitely, like the first songs I ever wrote were songs that mostly were written. The words were written first, and then like I learned how to play some guitar, and I was like, cool, okay, I'll sing now. And obviously now that I am learning more and more about my instruments, they come more, you know, hand in hand. But yeah, so I didn't have, I mean, I had a musical background a little bit because I played violin, but it wasn't like, I didn't grow up. My boyfriend Sam grew up, he plays pedal steel for me, grew up in a family of classical guitar players. Like,
Oh, wow.
his parents play guitar, all of his brothers play guitar, and they like did it from. I mean, they have music theory. That was like their first language, you know.
Yeah.
And that's not how I grew up at all. I'm jealous. I wish I had, but
Same.
But yeah, so I definitely came from more of a poetic sort of lyric word side. I like to think I'm getting better at guitar.
I think
Seems to be beneficial though.
I think a
That
lot of-
poet
yeah,
side,
sure.
a lot of great bands kind of have both. Like there's like some people within the band that are like really good with the music theory, and then other people that are really good with just feel, what I call
Yeah,
like
sure.
creating an emotion. Some people are just these unicorns that are great at both. But
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it's tough to be like super knowledgeable about music theory and also carry this like ability to
I think a
create
lot
feel.
of like, it's funny, I've been thinking about this because I think my writing style is changing a little bit. But like the first songs that I wrote felt like so magical because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, you know? And it was like, wow, this just happened.
But
You
they
know?
always have
and like,
soul, right? The first things you make always have a lot
right.
of soul in
Yeah,
it.
that's
but
that's a thing, totally. And I've as I'm like, well, that's boring. I don't want to do that, And so, but it's funny how, when you come from sort of a non-musical background and you start writing songs, you're like, oh, magic, and now you're like, oh, that's a 3-chord song, boring, or whatever. And definitely, I think, the first few arrangements of a band that I had, everybody in my band is way more musical than I am, which is awesome.
That's the way you want to do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. You want to be the least talented person in your group of friends or whatever, and you just like are a sponge and learn as much as you can. But yeah, so I'm trying to catch up, but it's also like been really great for me to sort of have no clue and stumble upon stuff and think that it's fucking brilliant,
Yeah.
You're like, wow. And everybody's like, oh yeah, okay. But it's so good to be, it's so nice to be surrounded by so many musical minds, and definitely all the folks that I've ever played with have added to my knowledge, and so now all the magic is leaving. No, definitely not. Everything's still a mystery to me, but
Well, what I appreciate about your songwriting, again, this is my perspective, maybe that's how I read it, is I think, and again, so you're already moving on past some of these songs, so we'll see how you still feel about these. But
maybe not.
But the idea that I think you take kind of very relatable, almost like big picture ideas and slices of life that I think a lot of songwriters could go, it's either all in on or it's not all or nothing. But I think you find this avenue where you go somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
But you make it your own personal narrative of that.
Yeah.
Starting from, I just like the idea of the pale blues. Like that's a great idea. Like not the full blues. Like you'll be fine, but just I'd rather not be dealing with this right now. And I was like, oh, that's like kind of a better, nuanced way of like a more honest way of looking at.
Yeah.
How you
well,
are.
white girl singing a blues song.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, right. So yeah, that song. Yeah, that's an old song.
That was the old one, right?
But I remember writing that actually. I was working at Maudie's Tex-Mex.
Oh, yeah, nice.
The original one over by that Randall's off Mopac.
And exposition right there.
Yep. Been there.
I lived right over there, and so I would walk to work, and I remember being in the kitchen. I was like bussing tables or something, and I have a terrible memory, so if I don't like sing it to myself over and over again or write it down or whatever, I'll lose it. But so I actually specifically remember like thinking of like, I guess the bridge I like sang over and over. I was like scraping food off of plates in the back and working on that song. But yeah, so that's an older tune for sure. But I actually recently played a 4-hour gig where I had to pull out a bunch of old stuff, and I did that song, and I was like, oh yeah, this one's fun.
That's fun. You guys do that too, like during your gigs.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
4-hour
Those longer
ones,
gigs,
and
yeah.
Oh yeah.
But does it sometimes give you like energy about certain parts of songs when you're writing new songs? Like, oh, we should bring that back in, like that part to a new song that we're writing.
Yeah, sometimes. I think it's just kind of cool sometimes when you play those longer gigs and you have to play those songs. It's like, oh wait, like this was a pretty cool song. Like you just said,
totally.
like
I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff you might not put in a 45-minute set, but
Yeah.
it's like, okay.
Right.
And usually you're a little better at playing too, like because some
like,
of those
oh, wow,
older
yeah.
songs are a couple years old.
Yeah.
You've evolved so much, and you're like, oh shit, I can actually do a fill that I wanted to do here, or
I can actually
you
play
know.
this song now.
Yeah, do it like for Brian. I would imagine do something cool vocally that you probably couldn't do in the past. And,
Probably.
yeah.
And I guess, is it the new single, the Maybe They're Just Really Good Friends?
Oh, yeah.
Or that's, well, not new, but that's like
Yeah.
the one
that's-
from the Good Luck Good Luck Man.
Yeah. And I just re-recorded that song too.
Cool.
Um,
But it's another one where it's like, maybe they're just friends, and it's
Dude,
like,
that
it's
I
so
actually-
viciously honest.
Well,
it's crazy.
It's funny because I was actually, when I got the idea for that song, I was sitting with my mom in the kitchen, and I was showing her some new musician that I really liked that I was like totally had a crush on.
I would say
like,
crush, yeah.
I was like, this guy's so cool, blah blah blah, and I was like showing her all these videos, and I kept seeing this woman in all of his videos, and I was like, who is this? And I was like, literally in conversation, I was like, well, maybe they're just really good friends. And then I was like, how is that not a country song?
That's great.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
That's so, like, everybody knows
That's great.
that feel. Everybody knows that. Everybody's felt that or in the back of their head. Or,
I feel that way about anything Jessica Alba's in.
Dude, same way.
There you go.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
Well, so you go through the grocery store line, and there's a Us Weekly, and Jennifer Aniston's married some regular guy, and it's like, why would she marry that guy? Like, I'm a regular guy
Yeah.
too. Like, what's up with that?
Maybe they're just really good friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's funny.
It's funny though, because like I always introduce that song before I sing it, and the first line is the title, so it's just sort of like, kicking a dead horse. But I'll introduce it, and like a handful of people will like from across the room will like chuckle, and I'll be
Yeah.
like, they get it.
Yeah.
Woo, yeah.
This song is called "Maybe They're Just Really Good Friends," and then just like deadpan.
Parentheses, been thinking about it for the last 3 days.
Yeah. Parentheses.
Yeah.
I'm in denial.
Yeah. But yeah, even in the song, you kind of say that, like, maybe he's just like, he's not calling me back because it's like,
Yeah.
he just really loves me. He's just like, that's how he wants, But it's
Yeah.
amazing how you can send yourself through these loops of like, you're basically having a relationship with somebody and they don't know it. You know, in a way.
Yeah.
And it's
I've thought about different ways of approaching a music video for that song and all the different sort of mind games you could play within visually representing that. Like whether, I don't know. Anyways,
ooh, now
late night weird thoughts of whatever. But
Brainstorm sesh right now.
Well, that seems to be a thing of yours too. I mean, you go deep into your recesses, right? What's that song? I didn't write it down, but what was it? The egg or the egg song? Yeah, egg song.
Yeah, that's one that I feel like you can. That's when nobody's paying attention to what you're saying, because I actually wrote that song after my grandmother died, and she and my grandparents on that side are very religious people, and I am not, and I have played that song in many different clubs, lots of like podunk little country towns, and to me it's like blatantly obvious what my opinion is on stuff, but it's so not. That's a thing that I do in my songs too, is like I don't think anything's like I'm not calling anything out
right.
blatantly or saying like I don't believe this and this is wrong or whatever, which is I think a good thing because you can find some middle ground with people that just like the way the song sounds.
Yeah. It's more your exercise of being thoughtful on it.
But definitely,
right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, that song's like a lot like darker than
it's
it
deep.
sounds.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
And yeah, so I don't know. I think it can slide by as being, just how it sounds.
Yeah.
But also, if somebody wanted to sit me down and ask me about like every single line, I could tell them stories.
Well, I guess where I was going with that was the idea of you like just laying in your bed and like grabbing these thoughts or trying to and thinking it might be a certain way, but it's coming up kind of a different way.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, is that your natural state of being? Kind of like, just do you find yourself laying in bed and just like going deep and then always coming out with a song for it, or is it just
No,
are you always that
not always coming
contemplative
out with a song
about,
for it, but yeah, I definitely am one of those people that like thinks way too much, or I don't know, not too much. I mean, I just, I read a lot, and I I don't know. I guess I'm just think.
Well, you were
It's not always that deep,
yeah.
but I like to think it is.
As a segue to you playing with the change that was
Yeah.
in your pocket, the Good Time Daddy blues, which the Good Time Daddy, is that a thing that I don't know? Like, did you make that up? The Good Time Daddy? It seems like kind
I
of
don't
like
know, like good time, and like people refer to like mama, daddy as like their
okay.
significant
I wasn't-
other. And,
okay.
I mean, I think it's just sort of like. I mean, I'm definitely singing about somebody
Right.
in particular, but I think it's, you know, in the sort of like old country bluesy style, like that sort of language was used a lot, and it still is, you know, like, you know.
Good time and man. Like
Yeah,
That, like that.
yeah,
That lyric. She's a good-hearted woman in love with a
right.
good time and man.
Totally. So that definitely came from listening to kind of country bluesy rockin' stuff. But I don't know if I made that. I didn't make that up for sure. You know, good time. I mean, yeah. People use that sort of
Gotcha.
language.
Well, I'm novice to that, but the
Sure,
reason
sure.
because that the lyric. But if the change in my pocket could buy me some more of your time, darling, you know I'd spend every last nickel and dime. But I'm broke as it were, and this amount just won't suffice.
Yeah.
I was like, that's pretty cool. I mean, like you're basically like you're willing to give everything that you
Yeah.
have. You know, rubbing the last two pennies together.
Didn't do me
you
any
know.
good, man.
Yeah, no.
Didn't do me any good.
I like the word suffice though too. I like
Thank
using
you.
that.
Thank
Running
you.
that.
Yeah, that one actually is funny because we ended up doing kind of on the chorus of that song, just sort of like a Waylon halftime kind of breakdown thing. That was just another
Yeah, I didn't
sort
do
of
that
like
justice reading those lyrics.
No. Sounded great. But sort of, you know, just another kind of tip of the hat to the folks that have kind of paved that sort of country blues thing. Which is fun to do, that sort of breakdown thing. But kind of a Waylon deal, you know. It's funny, I write all these sad songs, and I tend to write them like before the shit happens. Like there's this one song on my EP called Hey Darlin', and it's like, hey darling, when you leave, don't say goodbye to me. And it repeats over and over again. And I wrote that right before somebody did that to me. And I was like, shit, I didn't mean for you to take it literally.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it's like, I am like, I can tell the future, and I don't, you know, I don't ever learn from it. I need to start writing really, really happy songs.
That's a really hard thing to do.
A lot of money involved.
Nah.
Yeah.
No, I'm just
Growing,
I like
growing
sad
up here in
songs.
Austin, did you see a lot of like kind of those people that paved the way, like here, at different places, like growing up?
Yeah, man, I got to go see, my folks were big music fans. So I got to go see Ralph Stanley at the Texas Union Ballroom, which was amazing. And a bunch of folks that, like, Slade Cleaves opened to that show. I don't know if you guys know him. He's originally from Maine, but has lived here for a long time now. And he's a great songwriter. He's got a great old song called The Horseshoe Lounge, which is about the Club on the Mar. But, yeah, I mean, that's a really cool thing about growing up in this town is a lot of the venues are pretty kid-friendly.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it depends. But, like, my folks are kind of old Austin folks. And so they would take me out all the time.
Yeah.
And so I got to go, you know, I grew up going to places like the Cactus or the Texas Union Ballroom, which are places that, like, other towns don't have that stuff, you know? When I was a teenager, I got to go play at, like, the Austin Chronicle had this thing that was called, like, 6 Under 16 or something like that.
Oh, that's
That was,
cool.
like, this little column that
Yeah.
Margaret Mosher wrote, and I got to go play at the South Threadgills, like, as
That's
a
awesome.
teenager.
Yeah.
And like people like took me seriously, which
Yeah.
they probably shouldn't have, but it definitely like helped me to get where I am today, you
Yeah.
know. And that stuff doesn't always happen, you know. And two, there's so much music that passes through here, and there's so many bands here. It's like in other towns, especially I learned now from touring, it's like there's a band in town tonight, like we got to go out and see them. Whereas
it
like in
funny?
Austin, it's
Yeah.
like, which who are we
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
go see tonight, or how
What
many
club?
Yeah.
What-
Which
Yeah.
show are we
how
gonna
many
hop
friends
to?
can I see
Monday.
tonight that are
Yeah.
playing? Or,
Yeah,
you know?
It's funny what a difference that is. I mean, when you play in town, like it's a lot of your buddies and like some of their friends, but like they know you. It's not like such like a there's no like wall really, you know. But when you play out of town, sometimes there's like this like, oh, they're from Austin, like.
Well, that's the thing
You
too.
know?
Is like it's a good thing, and it's also like makes making noise here a little bit harder if you want
Yeah,
it to stand
right.
out.
Yeah.
You know, we're lucky
Definitely.
in that we get to see so much music and we can be inspired nightly.
Uh-huh.
But also you can be like like people say the live music capital of the world, and it's like that means there are a bunch of bands here that
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
not necessarily like are terrible, but there's so many people here.
We've
And
seen
so-
that plenty of times where we'll go out and we'll see a band that is huge here, and then we go out and we're playing the same stages. You
But
know what I mean?
also,
Like in a big place.
You can feel unappreciated, you know, in a town with tons of other people doing the same thing you are, and then you go out to a town in, you know, Northwest Texas, and people are like, "You're the best band I've ever seen," and I'm like, "I believe you.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry."
Are you gonna be here next week?
I know. You know, I literally believe that.
The
because
listeners
you just-
get jaded here for sure.
Right.
People that,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I'm
think
jaded.
we all
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, too, it's like, man, you can't get people to come out and see you if there's a $5 cover.
That's exactly what I
You
was
know?
thinking. Yeah, $5.
And it's
That's
like-
for some reason that's the magic number. $5. Great music in Austin. Now I'm gonna
No,
go
yeah.
watch the cover
Go to the
band
free.
over.
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
free,
or
yeah.
no, that's it. Yeah, it's a hard thing. So definitely, like as I've started to make a little bit more noise, it's like you got to find that balance of like, obviously I need as much experience as I can get, and playing a show is always good for me. But like that balance of when are you playing too much?
Yeah.
Too often in town.
Constant
You need to be
struggle.
obviously you have a responsibility to the club to like bring people out, and
Yeah.
so like if you're playing for a $5 cover here, and then on next
2 weeks
Wednesday
later,
you're playing
yeah.
for free somewhere, people are gonna like, we'll go see him next week. So it's
Yeah.
that's another thing that it's
Or
all
they'll be
just-
like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch The Office again."
Yeah.
on Netflix.
I'm not going out to
yeah, yeah.
yeah, which I am guilty of. I now live out in Buda, and it's like I'm like, I think I'm just not gonna go to town tonight. You know.
What was
Yeah, no,
your like process in that? Like, did you just want to move in cheaper, just area, just are there more musicians moving out to Buda? Because I know like musicians are starting to move out of town
Yeah,
a little
totally.
bit more to like Buda, Lockhart, places like that.
Yeah. Well, actually, I grew up in South Austin, so I'm really familiar with the south side of town. But
Okay, yeah.
but then also I've like lived all over sort of northeast, not that far north, but like 51st. I've lived there for years, and so then I went to high school up there. So, but I wanted to be back south. My dad still lives at the house I grew up in, and my horses are there, and I teach riding lessons and stuff. So
Nice.
I end up on the south side of town a lot.
Yeah.
And I went out to work on some booking with my manager who lives out in Buda, and I was like, why have I never been to Buda? Like, I thought it was just like the HEB and Cabela's and like strip malls.
And the weenie dog races. Don't forget about that.
Right. But I'd never actually been into Old Town Buda, and I drove to Tim's house and hung out and did some work with him, and I was like, man, I want to move out here. This is so cool. And he was like, well, I mean, it's a long shot, but here's my landlord's number. And I hit him up, and he's like, well, I'm about to put this house on the market, so let me know if you want to rent it. He had just bought this house and redone it, and I was like, yes,
Yeah.
I want
Nice.
it. And
Just
I moved
worked
out
out.
there like that so quick. And I don't know, now it's too expensive for me. But yeah, so
Classic.
we're out there. Sam and I are splitting this house together, which is really nice because we can both be like, it's really a 1-bedroom, but there's an extra room that's real small, but you can set up a guitar and
Yeah.
an amp.
It's like
and
this, yeah.
So we can both be set up in the house in separate rooms and be playing, and like we have a big backyard, and
Nice.
I love it. It's kind of more than we need. We're gonna take advantage of it for
Mm-hmm.
until July, and then I don't know. We may end up downsizing and splitting a room together, and then I don't know.
The
We'll see.
Austin way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
But for now, I love being out in Buda.
That's cool.
It is cheaper for now.
Yeah. Right. For now.
Yeah.
Not for long.
Until everyone
but,
else starts
you
moving
know.
there too.
There's a million things I want to talk to you about. We've already gone for almost an hour, so I think we should play a game.
Uh-oh. Okay.
We're going to do another edition of the game name, which is sweeping the nation. The game name TM. Okay. We're going to need these. So I don't even know how we did it before. I just it's a game name. It's a name we made up, or I made up, but it can work different ways. So for this week, I was thinking that Carson McHone is a fairly difficult name to either spell or pronounce if you don't know how to spell it, or you don't. I mean, either way, whichever you hear it. So I was like, there's got to be a bunch of great words that you could, like anagram from there. You know, I don't know if you've ever done that for yourself.
Yeah. Well, no. I know my name backwards is Nosrak, which is not.
There you
Oh,
go.
doesn't really-
Wow.
But
So I think what I'm going to do is I'll give you guys some clues here. I actually wrote Carson McHone down on these little papers so you don't have to think about it in your head. We can take one and pass it down. Carson, I don't know if you need one, but
I'll take one.
you might just like see the letters.
Just in case.
Okay.
I can't remember.
So the idea for this game name, TM, is
I've never played this one before, actually. I
Okay.
think they did this when I
Good.
was gone.
I'm
oh, you,
So I'm
you missed
excited.
it? Okay. Well, for this version of it, I'm going to give you a hint, and the answer is going to be letters from Carson McHone.
Not all the
Not
letters.
all of them.
Okay,
Not all of them.
yeah.
I don't even
Okay.
know if there was one that you can do for all of them, but
All
I
right.
should have looked that up.
Oh, this is fun.
So I'll just go around the
It's a
room.
little brain
I
teaser.
don't even know.
Oh boy.
These hints might be terrible. Like, to me, they were obvious, but because I looked it up online. I looked up the
Okay.
internet. But yeah, just do your best.
Okay.
If you need to take like 12 seconds to figure it out, don't worry. I'll cut out those 12 seconds and you
Okay.
sound
Yeah,
real
right.
smart. Or I'll just leave them all in. I'm going to leave all of Brian's in his thinking time. Well, so for example, I'll just do an example one.
This sounds like a great game to play in the van.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Van games
This
in
would
the
be
van.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you need some of those.
We have a bunch.
Oh, that's awesome.
So like, if I said a Mexican beer,
Corona.
Corona. Joe, that's right. Okay.
Dang,
So that's
that
the
was
idea.
a nice one.
That's
Okay.
good. Okay.
You know, actually, fun fact: my dad was the first one to bring Corona to the U.S.
Really?
Yes.
What?
That's fun.
Yeah.
Like he got it down to Mexico and he brought it. He
Like you just
smuggled it?
stuffed it in his
No,
pants
actually,
and brought it up.
my dad is a distributor.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
years.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
They managed to shove
Well,
it all
thank
in a
you, sir.
suitcase.
Yeah.
Well, I hope there's awesome fun facts like that about all of these.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a feeling
Fun
there won't
fact.
be.
It's weird because some of these words.
Should we try to make ones? Should we
some-
try to make fun facts
can,
about
yeah,
everything?
yeah.
Okay. All right.
But some of these words actually do relate to Miss Macon.
Okay.
So we can go in. I don't know. We can try in order, see if that works. If it needs to be a group effort, we'll do that.
Okay. it's my
So
turn.
Joe, you already want. Well, yeah. So
Well, that was
let's
a
go
test
with.
run.
Let's go with an orange butterfly.
Monarch.
Yes.
Nice.
Carson.
Quick.
How about a coffee shop baked treat?
I'm terrible at this.
I don't even go to coffee shops. Brett probably knows, right?
Scone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scone.
Classic
Ooh.
coffee shop
Duh.
worker. Yeah.
That's
Duh.
good.
Uh-huh.
Somebody told me once I should
Coffee
make my
shop
own
bat.
scones, actually. McCone scones.
There
So
you
I
go.
can't believe I didn't
Ooh.
get that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, man.
Wow. I'm bad
Fun
at
fact:
these.
Carson's future business.
Yeah.
Keep going. Keep
How
going.
about
Fun fact.
these guys are, let's see, Ron Burgundy, Brian Fantana, Champ, whatever his name was. They were.
Anchorman.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow, you got
Nice.
that in your name. that was
That's
both
pretty
words.
good. Probably uses most of them.
Anchor. Nice.
A dummy or an idiot.
Moron.
Yeah.
Nice.
Would you call me? How about let's see if Carson can
I'm
get this one.
terrible at
All right.
this. Okay.
Take your time. A piece of property that's basically made for country music. To be living on, to be just playing country music all day. You might have lived on one before in your life. Your host.
Ranch.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh, I said a should
One
have said
for me.
or dressing. I should have put dressing. That's a lot easier. My clue was way too hard. How about this? Wild E. Coyote's favorite company.
Acme.
Yeah.
Yeah, Acme.
Wait, what?
Acme.
Oh.
The Roadrunner cartoons.
Yes.
I don't know. Actually, it wouldn't be his favorite, right? Because none of that shit worked.
He keeps buying it though, like a dummy, like a
Yeah,
moron.
none of that worked.
Yeah, like a moron. How about this is also known as a trash panda?
Raccoon.
Yes.
Hey.
Ah.
Trash panda.
Who knew? This is so fun.
It is. I
All
feel like
these-
you're
all
just
these
saying like
words
really
are
learning.
Words
every
in my
day.
name.
You're learning so much about yourself.
I am.
These are golden for another MC, another Mick last name.
Arches.
Arches.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it! I missed that one
Nice.
too.
How about a very popular '90s horror movie featuring?
Scream.
Yes, there it is.
Nice.
Got it.
Nice.
2 for me.
These are best covered with. I love that I wrote this. It's like this one I didn't write as a clue. I think I was stating my opinion, but it's like these are best covered with cheese, jalapenos, and guacamole.
Chips.
Nacho.
Oh,
Nachos.
Damn
On
it.
a roll.
Nachos.
That's
Nice.
right,
Now
yeah.
you got it.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, it does. yeah.
Isn't it Nacho Day? Do you guys know?
They
I
do
feel
this
I've
like
seen
all
that.
the time.
Yeah.
Like
It's
Yeah.
got to be Austin. that
Fun
just does
fact:
it.
it's Nacho Day.
Every day. is.
Sell more stuff.
like every month is Tequila Day somehow.
Did you have nachos today?
National Pizza Day.
Yeah.
I had nachos yesterday.
Go buy a $30 pizza at some local.
I would do that actually.
You deserve nachos today too. That's what I think.
How about items you attach to a bracelet or necklace?
Charms.
Ooh, it's like you cheated.
Nice.
Sorry. Man. A couple more here. A sports instructor or a large bus.
A coach
Yes.
Ah,
Good
nice.
job, Brian.
Or a large bus.
like Mike McCarthy
Oh, a large bus.
of the Green Bay Packers.
Or
Oh.
Jerome Bettis. of
Not
the
of the
Pittsburgh,
producer.
I was like, a
Pittsburgh Steelers.
bus?
He shares a name with the Green Bay Packers coach.
This one's tough. Did anybody read Lord of the Flies?
Yes.
Remember it?
Yeah.
So the Lord of the Flies shell.
Conch.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
Is that how you say that?
I was conch or
Conch.
conch. I don't know if
Conch.
there's like.
I don't know.
I don't know if we've all
Conch.
agreed on that.
Conch shell?
Well, it's
Conch
in your
shell.
name. What do you say?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's up to me, I guess.
Yeah.
Conch.
Here, two more. It's in short supply, unless your first name was Johnny.
What?
This is my like Riddler, Batman Riddler riddle.
It's in short supply unless your name is Johnny.
Yeah. Do you know any Johnnies, Carson? What? Did no, not that. I didn't mean to say Johnny Carson. No.
What?
That was dumb. I didn't mean to say that.
I know. Carson McHone.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I keep doing in my head.
This is more country related.
Oh, Cash.
Yeah.
Ah.
Duh.
Mm-hmm.
Good one, good one. Okay, last one.
Someone who likes loud sex.
Mm,
You're getting there.
Everyone.
Yeah.
No.
Everyone.
Me.
Mm.
You can spell that.
Carson. Yeah, it's spelled Carson McHone.
M-E.
Yeah. I was Moaner, but yeah,
Oh.
you could say whatever.
Yeah,
Okay, well, yeah.
Moaner. There you go.
There are multiple answers for that one. There are multiple answers.
Yeah. So sweeping the nation. So we're
Yeah.
Got
it's
it.
still getting
Okay,
going.
yeah.
You've done
Game
it.
name.
You've,
No, I know.
Team.
you've played the tame game.
No, I know. I'm really glad we had these in front of us. though.
Yeah.
That was a
That's what I
good touch. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to do that.
That's nice handwriting too, Matt. I feel like that's probably your best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I print.
Took your time.
Nice
I can
work.
print.
Took your
I went for
legible.
creative printing
Oh, there you go.
for school.
There you go. And he's still using it.
Yeah.
Yep, look at him. Look at him go.
All right.
Serving you well.
So Carson McHone, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Thanks for having
This
me.
has been great. Where can we see you play this week or this month? There's
At the
something going
White
on.
Horse.
White Horse.
Every
Thursdays,
Thursday
right?
night
Yeah.
at
Hey.
midnight. Yeah, please come out.
Drink specials.
Yeah, actually fourth tap.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Got $4 fourth tap.
Cool.
Grapefruit
Nice.
IPA.
It's a hell of a deal.
Yeah.
Long walk.
Do people
Um,
dance at midnight when you
They
get up
do.
there? Yeah.
They
Mhm.
do.
They always
dance.
dance at White
Yeah.
Horse.
Oh,
I
yeah.
realize,
Yeah.
They do.
a great
But
spot.
yeah, it's been fun. We're doing Leo Rondu and Mike and the Moon Pies were two bands
Mike and the Moon
that held
Pies.
Thursday night midnight residencies at the White Horse successfully for a long time. And so we're doing a little tip of the hat to them. We're doing a Mike and the Moon Pie song and we're doing a Leo song,
Cool.
which is fun.
Yeah.
People recognize them, and
That's great.
White Horse is a cool.
we're
like,
doing some new
gr- yeah.
tunes. Yeah.
Excellent. Very cool. So Thursdays. And
Every
that,
Thursday at midnight, yeah.
how long is that? going
through November.
through November.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Even
Get there.
Thanksgiving, right? Aren't you doing
That's
the Thanksgiving?
right.
That's awesome.
Hey.
Yeah,
You're gonna get all
Thanksgiving.
your townies coming back. All the Coneheads are gonna be back
Yeah,
for that show.
that's right.
That might be the one to go to.
Yeah,
Thanksgiving night.
please
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, that'd be
The
great.
Coneheads,
That'd be great.
McCone scones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Free scones for everyone.
Yeah.
Boom.
Do you think that's a good time to learn how to two-step? Do you think midnight on Thursdays? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I've tried before, made a total ass
People
of myself,
aren't. They're not shy,
yeah,
especially not at midnight on a Thursday.
that's great.
Yeah.
To dance.
No
I think
judgment
if
either.
I drink just enough fourth tap, I'll be able to
There you go.
two-step.
You should go at
Perfect.
I'm pretty
at
sure.
7 for the dance class.
Hell, you don't even have to two-step.
Okay.
You go at
can do
7
whatever
for
you
the
want.
dance class,
Yeah,
and you
you
go do
can do
something
whatever
else
you want
until
if you have
midnight. Yeah.
I'll do my flailing, my dance flail thing that I do.
The dance.
Looks great.
As long as you're stepping in one
Pretty
direction
loves it.
twice, you got it going.
There you go.
So CarsonMcConeMusic.com. You're on everything: Spotify,
Yep.
Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah.
all that stuff. You're gonna be going on tour a little bit here. You got the Iowa gig
Yeah,
this
flying
weekend. That's
out.
pretty cool. The gas.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Feed and food, or what is that? What it's called?
Feed and seed.
Feed and seed. Yeah.
Sweet.
Out in Davenport. That should be fun flying out. I actually just bought a big winter coat because I do not know how to dress in the cold. And I've been in Iowa before in February, and it's so cold. So that should be fun.
Did you have like? I feel like everybody in Austin has like a $300 winter coat that you wear
I
like
actually
one time
found
a year.
one.
You know?
I found one for $80.
Oh,
Nice.
sweet. Good find.
Good call.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
work.
So
And yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Thanks for having
Congratulations on everything too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
thank you.
We will watch your career with great interest. Star Wars. Thanks.